don't really have any huge plans for it. I plan for getting through it the same as everyone else. And
a Kangaroo Fern production. Welcome to Gorilla Podcast, Fresh Eyes,
the beat that makes you feel good.
A weekly podcast that features interviews with social change leaders or individuals that aims to bring audiences good stories to motivate their own social impact efforts. Now, here's your host.
Hello, Humanista. This is Miko Santos from the Side Strip, and please welcome to another episode of Fresh Eyes, which is on self-isolation. So usually we go outside, interview our guests, but because of what's happening in the street, what's happening right now, so we're using Skype or Zoom for this episode. So stick around. So we have fantastic guest today, and she is Grace Newman. It's hard to pronounce, but you got a blog, and the blog name is Finding Adelaide. So we're gonna tackle about how it started, why finding Adelaide, or why not finding Melbourne, why Adelaide of all the city in Australia. So please welcome Grace. Thank you for joining us.
hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. So before we go on the blog site, before you started this Finding Adelaide, what are you doing before that?
Sure. So my background is in graphic design. I was born in Melbourne, grew up in Brisbane. I moved here and studied graphic design at UniSA. And then since then, I've been working in design or marketing or just general like digital social media kind of roles. I also do a bit of photography and writing. So for me, that's kind of where my background's at, which I guess probably then makes sense to sort of how I sort of formed the blog itself. So it was kind of really just pairing those things together for me there, but they've always been passions for me. So yeah, outside of Finding Adelaide, I am still working full time as a production coordinator. So it's kind of a mix between doing design and also, I guess, outsourcing and managing design work. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, I guess.
How do you start the blogging? How it started? Is that, I need to do a blogging for Finding Adelaide? Is that what inspired you to do this?
So when I first moved here, I think Adelaide gets a really bad rap, interstate in particular. And when I was moving here, even I had a lot of people sort of pull me aside and they were going, why are you moving to Adelaide? It's weird there. Like, it's, what's going on there? And I was like, oh, look, I just, I need to do it. So I moved here, studied here. And I think it was after being here for a little bit when I had friends and family visiting, and they were sort of, everyone would make jokes about Adelaide, and like I think as like being in good humor, you joke back, but also after a while you're like, come on, it's not that bad. Like, it's like a lot of it's to do with attitude, I think, and I think that's where I got to, where I was like, okay, but if you're gonna, you could be in any city in the world, and if you don't have the right attitude, you're gonna hate it. Like, it's just that it's one of those things where it's so common for people to say bad things about Adelaide and South Australia that it's the easy thing to say. Like, it's easy to be the person that bags Adelaide as opposed to being someone who sort of promotes it and says nice things about it, because that's going against, like, you're going sort of counterculture then, like you're going against what is like already accepted by mainstream. So for me, it was really just kind of like a bit of a like, stuff you, like there's stuff happening here. Like, you just need to look for it. You need to have the right attitude. It is a little bit harder than other cities, but we have cool stuff going on. And I really feel like the quality of what we have here is so high because there's so much competition with such a small market. So everything needs to be really good here, else it won't survive. So I feel like we have all these premium quality suppliers, like whether it's a cafe or a local food place, or like even just like our grocery stores, like Foodland, some of the Foodlands. I'm like, this is just an epic selection, and so much of this is SA produce, and there's a lot of great things here. So for me, it was just kind of, a little bit of a like stuff you to everyone else, but also just like there's plenty of good here. You just need to look for it in the right places, and you need to have the right attitude, I think. So yeah, that's how it started. And then I guess because I had that background design and love for photography and I liked writing. So for me, it was kind of a natural progression. Like it was already things I was doing, and I was already going out and taking lots of photos of things. And I just had this image bank of photos where I was like, I don't know what to do with these. Like these are useless to everyone. So I think around the time Instagram was getting bigger. So I just kind of thought, oh, well, maybe I'll just make an Instagram account and I'll just start putting things on there and, we'll just see what happens, I guess. So, and the blog just ties into that because that sort of allows me to write and go a little bit more in depth with certain aspects. So, yeah, that's a little bit about the background on there.
Yeah, so it's some people doesn't know where's Adelaide because when I came here 7 years ago, I came from Wellington in New Zealand. So I'm going to Adelaide. I got a job in Adelaide. Oh, where is that? It's in Australia. So sometimes they don't know because mostly they know is Sydney, Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne, yeah.
Say what's Adelaide? Just below.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Tasmania. So that's unique. So have on your doing your blogging, do you have a style on when you're writing up and taking a photo on Instagram? Do you have a style to pattern when you're doing your blog?
I guess I don't really think about it in that way. Like for me, it's important to me to keep it kind of positive and sort of relevant to the audience, but it needs to also be things that I guess resonate with me, because if I don't actually genuinely like it or it's not something I genuinely recommend, I'm not one of those people who's good at sort of, I guess promoting something that I don't agree with. So for me, it's like, if I'm talking about it, it's something that I, for whatever reason, have connected with or I think is worth sharing or showing. So I don't feel like I need to have like a style per se, because it's just kind of, I guess, written in my tone of voice. And same with the photos, like it's just how, like that's just how I guess I tackle photography and how I want to frame it when I'm trying to show off those elements of the city, I suppose. So I try and avoid getting, faces of strangers in my photos, and so there are things like that I do consider, and it's important to me that the image quality is of a certain standard as well, because otherwise it's just, what's the point in doing it? Like I don't want to just share things that I think are below quality. So yeah, there's a style in the sense that I'm constantly self-critiquing, I suppose, but beyond that it's just whatever sort of naturally comes to me, and whatever I'm sort of capturing is just what I'm seeing that I think is worth other people knowing about and celebrating in our city. So yeah.
What do you think is the unique of Adelaide compared to big city?
I think there's a lot of things that are unique about Adelaide. I think one of the main draw cards is the quality of everything here. And I sort of touched on that earlier, where it's just because of the size of the market, I feel like things have to be really good to survive here. And so we have this access to I guess, the regions that's so nearby to get to Barossa. Like Barossa, for example, like in my head still, I'm still getting over this one, but in my head I'm still thinking like, oh, Barossa's ages away, but it's actually not. Like it's like, an hour and a half drive, or, depending on where you are, but it's just not that far for us to get out to these regions. And you can go from one region to the other and they'll be completely different. You can go to the beach and that's like 25 minutes from the CBD, and then you can be up in the hills, which is just about 25 in the other direction. And I think it's the accessibility to the range of different regions we have here and what each of those regions bring, the quality of what we have here. And I think one of the biggest things as well is I feel like even when you go to cafes here, like the staff are just quite genuine. Like I feel like people really sort of make a connection with their customers here for the most part, and they really try and do something good here when they do something. So it feels kind of like they're being genuine in that, and it's big enough that you have everything, but not so small that you get claustrophobic, or for a lot of people anyway. So yeah, I think there's a lot that makes it unique, but they're probably my key points that I sort of think about when I think about that.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us